evening, good evening, good evening. Gonna give it a second. See, make sure y'all can hear me okay. My printer area is a little messy. Let's see if somebody can get on real quick. Make sure you can hear me okay. Make sure my service is doing good. And then we'll get going. I think I'm just a little bit early, but you kind of have that. Hey Karen, can you hear me okay? Let's see. Yeah, all right. So we're going to get going. So, first, welcome. My name is Bridget Simon. I am a superstar director down in Texas. And I am here to talk to you guys about my favorite topic, which is social media. And in order to really understand where my passion from social media comes from, I kind of dig into a little bit and explain my journey with Scentsy. And then you guys will kind of see why social media is such a big part of my business, and it's also why now I'm working to train my team, and I love coming on and sharing with you guys because, let's be honest, a lot of other companies like to think that the other consultants in their company or in their business are their competition, but that's not how it is in Scentsy. So I love that we have the culture to where we like to share all the things in hopes that everybody can maybe learn and grow from the knowledge that we share with each other. So that's why I'm excited that Karen asked me to come in here with y'all tonight and talk to you guys about social media. So like I said, my name is Bridget Simon. I joined Scentsy in August of 2013. I have two little girls. And when I moved down to Texas, my oldest was almost 4. My ex-husband is oilfield, and we had relocated due to his job. Originally, I'm from Ohio, and my ex-husband and I actually met in the military. And I like to share my story just not only so that you guys can see how and why I work my business the way that I do, but also because I feel like a lot of y'all can probably relate to a lot of parts of my story. You guys might not be able to relate to my entire story, but there's a lot of different parts within my story that sometimes people don't like to share because it might be embarrassing. But for me, I hope that by hearing my story and seeing my success in this business, if you can relate to maybe a certain obstacle that I've overcame in my life and in my business, then maybe it'll give you the confidence that you can do it as well. So with social media, what I like about it is that it has allowed me to overcome a lot of the trials and tribulations that I've had, not just in my business, but also throughout life. And it's probably another reason why I'm so passionate about Scentsy, because it has given me not only a way for me to contribute to my household, but my confidence and my belief in myself has skyrocketed because of this business. And if it can do that for me, then I know that it can do it for you too. So back to story time. Like I said, we moved down here to Texas when my oldest was about 4. All of my friends and all my family was up in Ohio. And so we moved down here in May. And when I knew that I wasn't going to know anybody, I was like, okay, my husband's going to be working. I need to find ways to meet people. And what I did was I found an oilfield wives group that was local to San Antonio, because that's where we relocated to. And I joined that group. And a couple of days after I joined the group, there was a local girl saying that she was going to have a Scentsy party at her house. And I was like, this is perfect. I'm familiar with Scentsy. I have some of the warmers, so I can go get some more Scentsy, but also this will give me an opportunity to, maybe start meeting some people. So I went to the Scentsy party. Of course, she asked if I want to host my own party. And I told her, I was like, well, I don't really know if it's going to do that well or not, but I can always post it in the oilfield group and invite other oilfield wives. Maybe do a potluck or something like that, and we'll just see how it goes. Did the party, and it didn't do too bad. I had a couple of people that actually showed up. And so at the end of the party, she asked me if I wanted to join. This is why I do not prejudge anymore in regards to when people say that they want to join just for the kit or the so-called kidnapper, because I was actually going to be a kidnapper. I thought, I don't know anybody down here. This isn't going to go over well, but for $99, I can get this warmer. I can get one of every wax. What's the worst that's going to happen? I'm just going to have a kit and I just use it for myself. Sure, why not? So I did that. And while I was starting Scentsy, I was finishing up my bachelor's degree. So I finished my bachelor's degree, started Scentsy in August, and like a couple months, I say maybe a month or two after that, I actually got a job once I finished my degree at the local correctional facility as a substance abuse counselor. So I was juggling working full time, being a mom, and trying to start off my new Scentsy business and juggling all of those hats. And little did I know how successful it was going to get just from the very beginning. I continued to network in that Oilfield Wives group, and by doing so and by using my Facebook, because Facebook was still kind of getting in there, but social selling really wasn't that big yet. So it wasn't like all over the place or anything like that to where we have to get a little bit more creative compared to now. But I literally decided just to keep posting on my Facebook, and I ended up earning Shooting Star. And then I ended up hitting Sensational Start Level 3. And then that was the year that we had the Bahamas incentive. So come January, I actually had earned Level 1. A brand new consultant. I think I finished the incentive out as a star consultant, so I had promoted a couple times during the first incentive. And it really motivated me. I'm like, wow, like I didn't think I was going to do this well. And the only reason I did was because of this Oilfield Wives group. I just shared and I was going to the lunches and all of that. So while I was getting to meet new friends in the new area that I was in, I was also, advertising Scentsy, doing basket parties, home parties, and then going to the luncheons and carrying in my little tote of Scentsy and putting it up on the table, and sharing it that way. Come February, it turned out that I was pregnant with my youngest daughter, and as you can imagine, being pregnant and working in a correctional facility is not the best idea at all. And I was like, oh man, but I wasn't too discouraged because Scentsy was really picking up. So I was like, all right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my resignation here at the gym. I'm going to work Scentsy full time. And then whenever I have my youngest, then I'll go back to working, at the prison. And so I continued to work my business. I went on my first Scentsy incentive trip that July, big old little belly, with Trinity in my belly. And then come August, my 1-year anniversary of Scentsy, I actually promoted to director. So that was super exciting. I'm like, going from being a kidnapper to earning the new consultant awards to earning my first incentive while being pregnant, hitting director on my 1-year anniversary. And then it came November and I had my youngest, and it was time to make the decision of, okay, do I go back to work? Or do I just continue working the Scentsy business that seems to be doing really well? And so we decided that it wasn't worth my time to go back to work, and that I was going to be able to be a stay-at-home mom with my youngest while working my Scentsy business. And I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to do this full steam ahead, it needs to get bigger. So what have I done from beginning until now that I can do, but I can do it on a larger scale? Because while being a director, ever since I started, and once I saw that it was a real possibility, I always had the superstar director in my head of like, okay, that's my goal. I want to be up there. There was a lot of consultants that I saw and that I had met, and I'm like, I want to be like them. I want to be like her when I grow up. And that was my ultimate goal. I was like, I want to be able to contribute. I want to be able to be a present parent, but I still want to be able to contribute and feel worthy and feel like I still have something for myself. And that was Scentsy for me. So I was like, okay, I can do this, but what do I need to do? And I knew right then what got me to where I was social media. That Facebook group was my biggest thing. So the reason why social media and why I love it so much is because it can bust so many excuses that we hear all the time within our business of, I come from a small town. That's okay, because you have social media that you can use. You don't have to stick to your town. Or everybody here sells it. It's okay because you have social media that allows you to have the fingertips at your world. I don't have a lot of money to invest. It's okay because if you're using social media, social media is free to use. So whenever I hear those different excuses as to why people either don't want to join or they're not being successful, I always try to bring up social media because it really is a game changer for so many people's businesses. So yeah, I know you're probably like, okay, so social media, we get it. You like it, that's your fun thing, but how do we do it? So once a year, and maybe even twice a year, I like to go to my Facebook page, and I try to get my team to do this too. And I go to my social media and I make a post and I say, when I come to mind, or when you think of me, what comes to mind? That's not Scentsy. I had to start putting not Scentsy because before I put not Scentsy, then everybody would just say Scentsy. But I'd ask them, I'd be like, when you think of me, what comes to mind? And the reason why we do this and why I do it is because that's how you start figuring out what your brand is. And knowing what your brand is really big in regards to social media, because just like if you were trying to network locally, whether it's your chamber of commerce, whether it's what is it, BNI, business networking something, I can't remember what it is, all those acronyms, but just like if you were meeting people out in person, you find like interest, you find your brand, what makes you stand out, what makes people think of you, or what do people see, what do they hear, what makes them think of you, and that's what's going to be your brand. For me, I like leopard, and I am known as the girl with the Disney tattoos. And so that's when I post this question, that's what I'll get a lot of responses is leopard, sloths, Disney princesses, tattoos, working out, food, all the things. Once you figure out what your brand is, not only do you use your brand for your labeling and your marketing, but I want you to go and I want you to find one Facebook group, and it can be a group that you're already in, that you might have already been in and wasn't even intentionally using it for Scentsy and networking, but we're going to do it now. But I want you to find, after you ask on your social media, what makes people think of you, and I want you to go join one Facebook group or identify one that you're already in. And this is when you start building real, authentic relationships. I'm not saying going in there and to start posting Scentsy. At the beginning of my business, that's what I did. But it's also because that was 8 years ago, and at that point, it wasn't so looked down upon for posting about it. But now it is, because a lot of other companies and people have kind of caught on to how easy, well, not easy, how successful you can be using social media to grow your business. So when you're joining these groups, and this is the rule of thumb that I like to tell my team, and it's what I try to do as well. Pug from Pocahontas. Yes, Percy. Yep, I got him right here. He's my favorite. Or Pocahontas is my favorite. But when you find one of these groups, I want you to go in there, and once a week, I want you to create a genuine post. So whether it's a mom group, whether it's an oilfield group, whether it's a mermaid group, or whether it's a Disney group. Another rule of thumb while we're on the group topic, though, make sure that you're not joining too large of a group. Yes, there's a possibility of finding 12,000 or 100,000 people in those groups, but with those larger groups, your post is going to get knocked down really quickly because it's such a busy group. So I try to find Facebook groups that have about 5,000 people or less in it, and I do 5,000 or less, one post a week, genuine post, sharing whatever topic of that group is that you joined. And then after you've made your post, then I want you to go in, and this one's a daily post, because again, we're trying to become an active member in this group, a known member in this group, and I want you to respond to 5 people's posts, whether they're asking for advice, whether they're sharing a picture. Again, we're not posting anything about Scentsy. We are becoming visible in this group. And the reason why is because either creating your own post, or if you're responding to other people's posts, there's that possibility to get those conversations going. And the reason why we want to get those conversations going is because that's the start of the seed of that relationship. And as you start interacting, that relationship could start forming right then, to where that person might feel like they connect with you right then and there, and they might send you a friend request. Or it might take a couple times. It might take a couple posts. It might take a couple comments. And what I like to think about those is, with planting the seed and then watering the seed. Every time you comment, every time you post, you're watering those seeds in hopes that one of these relationships, one of these seeds are going to bloom. And when they bloom, what I mean by with that analogy is that they're eventually going to send that friend request. Or if you feel like you've created a genuine and not creepy friendship or relationship at that point, then go ahead and send the friend request. And this is when you actually start growing your network online, in the comfort of your home. I don't know about y'all. I'm a huge introvert. You can put me online and I can talk away. The lives I'm getting a little bit better because I'm doing them more often. And I'm just reading your comments. I'm not seeing you face to face. But if you put me out there in person with a large group of people, I am the huge, most quiet, reserved person ever. I will sit back. I like to observe people. So networking online is a lot easier for me. So that's why I like to be able to build the relationships online. I can talk. I can bring up all the things. I can feel comfortable and have these conversations without like my nerves and my jitters catching on. So if you're like me as well, maybe this is another reason why social media will be very successful for you, because you have no desire to go out there and try to book parties and deal with home parties and guests and people that you don't know. But anyways, I'm getting off topic, sorry. But you start building those relationships and they send a friend request. That's when the Scentsy part comes in. That's when you go back to the training that either Karen or other people have jumped on here and shared with you, of you start sharing Scentsy on your personal Facebook page. And you're going to hear me say this right here. Your personal Facebook page, not your VIP group. Your VIP group is a whole completely different subject. We are talking about your Facebook page. And I know some people are like, well, I want to keep my page private, or I don't like to share all of my life. If you are working your Scentsy business and you are wanting social media to be the explosion of your business, taking off and all the things, you need to get that out of your head right now. If you want to keep a private life on social media, then working your Scentsy business on social media is not going to be the way for you. Plain and simple. We are in a relationship building industry. We are selling products to people, and in order to get people to trust us and our opinions and want to support us in a business, and when it comes to certain aspects of our business, these people need to get to know you, and they need to be not strangers. 95% of my team I've never met in person. 95% of my customers I probably have never met in person. But you know what? They feel like they know me. They have sat there and they have watched my babies grow up on Facebook. And what does that do? That creates loyal customers. That creates that sticky culture of when you're building a team, that you don't have to be living right up the street. You are able to have a relationship with somebody here that's local to you. You are able to have a relationship and a loyal customer or a loyal team member that's going to stick around because they feel connected to you states away. That's the perk of social media, but you have to be willing to share and to put yourself out there on social media. So we've joined the groups. We've started the conversations. We've started the relationships. The Facebook requests have came through, and now they're on your page, and now you are sharing Scentsy, not selling, sharing it. I was just doing a live like this about a week ago, and it was literally right before I went live. I was doing my typical thing. When I tell y'all I have my team do it, I do the same thing. I'm in multiple groups now because I've kind of balanced it out and I've gotten into the routine, but I went and I made a post about my husband being oilfield, and he was going to be home in a couple days. And I was super excited about it, so I posted a picture and I posted a countdown saying he was going to be home in like 4 days or something like that. And the other oilfield wives were commenting or whatnot. And there was one lady that we kind of conversated back and forth on comments, and she sent me a friend request. I accepted the friend request. I didn't go message her right away and be like, hey, thanks for the friend request. I'm a Scentsy consultant. Would you like a catalog? Or you want to book a party? Blah, blah, blah. I don't do that. Nope, not doing that. I got her on my page, and earlier that morning, it was when the Mother's Day collection had launched, and we had the fragrance flower sale as well. So I had posted a picture of me holding the fragrance flower. I think I did the one in front of the face that time. And I posted it, posting the picture, and then all the different fragrance selections that they could pick from. And she commented on it, because I don't know about you, but when I add somebody and they accept my friend request, then I go back to their page and I sit there and scroll, and I kind of become like a little detective, and I start scrolling their stuff. And that's obviously what she did, because once I accepted her friend request, she must have started scrolling my Facebook. And so she had commented on my post, and she was like, what are these flower things? And so I was like, I explained it to her, and she was like, you know what, give me 3 of them. Y'all, I had no idea who this woman was less than 24 hours prior to that. But because we're in an oil field group, we have something that we relate to each other about. And then there must have been something in our conversation when I posted that my husband was going to be home in a couple days that resonated with her. And then for some reason she felt like she could connect with me, or that there was some type of genuine friendship there. So she sent me the friend request. I accepted the friend request. She got on my Facebook page. She saw me sharing Scentsy. My post, my personal picture post, because we don't do flyers around here unless we absolutely have to, like the summer collection today. Of course, I posted that because we didn't have early access to it, but I posted a personal photo. It caught her attention when she was scrolling. She asked a question. I answered the question about it. Wasn't being salesy. I was sharing about the fragrance flower, and she bought it. She bought an order. Now, it doesn't always go that quickly or that fast, but that was a recent story that I'm able to share with you guys in regards to the success of social media. So with that, that's how I've worked my business. That's how, even during COVID actually kicked it up a little bit more, because then everybody was on their phones, and I know now we're kind of coming out of hyper growth, so we're having to be a little bit more intentional about the networking and stuff that we're doing online. But it's a tried and true practice that I've been doing in my business for 8 years now. I promoted to superstar director last year, so I'm still a baby SSD, but in my past, I dabbled in other areas that I could work my Scentsy business. Before I actually got divorced, I used to do vendor events here and there, but once I got divorced, obviously, I didn't really have the extra time to do vendor events, so I cut those out. And when I got divorced, I moved into a 2-bedroom apartment. So obviously I didn't have this room or space to have the inventory for shows anymore. So that was another reason why I stopped doing them. And then I moved into a duplex, still really limited on space. But when it comes to social media, you don't have to carry all that stock. You don't have to have all of the supplies and all the things. And then I met my current husband, and he's oil field. So I don't know what my deal is about oil field. Maybe it's the time or the space, or just used to that lifestyle. But now with him, he's oil field, and he works out of town. He works about 6 hours north in Shreveport. And another thing with the flexibility of this business that I love, especially with the fact that my main focus is social media, is that I can work anywhere as long as I have my phone, if I have my laptop. So every other weekend, my girls go with their dad, and if my husband's gone, he works in hitches. I don't know if you guys are familiar with oil field and how they work, but he works 20 days on and 10 days off. So he'll be up in Louisiana for 20 days. So when my girls go with their dad and he's working, I'm able to just pack up my business, grab my laptop bag, grab my phone, and drive up and spend a day or two or the weekend with them, and still be able to work my business on social media. Because not only with the freedom of this business, but because of the fact that I use social media as the way to work my business. I wouldn't, even if I could have the time and the space to do the vendor events and all the things, it's not where my passion is. And like I said, social media might not be for you, and that's fine. It's not for everybody. But if you are limited on your time, if you're limited on your space, if you're an introvert, if you single momming it, if you live in an apartment where you can't have any room, if you just move towns or cities to where you're not around your normal friends or family, all the things, job locations, social media is the answer for all of that. And it might be intimidating at first, and it might be a little bit of a learning curve. I mean, heck, Facebook's constantly changing things up to where the algorithms messed up one day, or the next day it's a completely other thing. So don't think that you're at a disadvantage if you haven't already started using social media, because it's constantly changing. So you can always jump in, and you might catch on to the very next big thing or big like social media platform. I know I keep saying Facebook, but I mean, you can do Instagram, you can do Pinterest, you can do Snapchat. There's so many different options when it comes to social media. But the fact that just because of this little phone, I literally have millions and millions of people that I could potentially reach. And I don't know about you, but to me that's really exciting, because that just shows that the potential out there is unlimited. And there's so much people and customers and team members that you'd be surprised how many don't even know about Scentsy yet. Or if they do, they're just waiting for an actual loyal consultant to be able to give their business to. And that's exciting, that there's so much untouched potential out there that anybody can get. So I haven't seen any questions on here, so I hope that I didn't miss anything. Let me scroll up. Oh yes, the English Bulldog. She's cute, but she's stubborn for sure. But other than that, if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Feel free to comment on here, and I'll monitor this one. Also, my page is public, so you don't have to send a friend request. But if you want to get a little bit more of an idea of how I work my business, how I integrate personal into business, I know some people like to say you should be posting 80-20, like 80% personal, 20% social or business. But I feel like that's really hard to do once you really go all in with Scentsy, because Scentsy's incorporated so much into my life on a daily basis, whether I'm cleaning, whether I'm on the go, whether, the friends that I have. A lot of my posts anymore when I'm sharing about Scentsy is also my personal life. But feel free to hit the follow button if you want to hit the follow button to see the stuff that I post and share, and get some ideas, and maybe brainstorm on how you can figure out your branding, find a new group to get into, start building those genuine relationships, and let your Scentsy business grow too. So I appreciate you guys all jumping on here to join me tonight. Karen, thanks so much for having me come on here. I hope you guys all have a great night, and I'll talk to you soon.